The mission is to collect the revenue owed. This is part of their appropriation. It was $117 million. This was for the audits and investigations thing. That was to finance 137,000 investigations, and it was to do them mainly across GST audits and payroll audits. But in addition, it also said this is the expected return. We wanted $14 back for every dollar spent on investigations. We wanted $4 back for every dollar spent on verifications, $6 back on GST audits, and $5 back on payroll audits. So they now had not only the job to do, but they had to get rates of return that were acceptable. And did this approach work? Well, at least we knew what was happening. We had that kind of transparency. Accountability, we knew what was achieved. We knew whether or not we bought the right programs, and we knew what the public benefit was. Departments knew what was expected of them exactly, and they knew what success looked like. I think you're on the course to that with the work that people like Casher are doing on the beginning of opening up transparency, but there's a long way to go, and it's an exciting course, but the results are worthwhile. The size of government in my country diminished by 2/3, 66%. Measured either as a proportion of GDP or the size of the workforce. Most of that workforce less because we stopped doing things that we didn't think the government should do. But the public still got the services they wanted because somebody else did them. You see, it's not a zero-sum game. It's not a matter of you stop doing it, nobody else will. Somebody will fill a gap where there's a demand. I wish you well on this journey. If we can be helpful, yell out. If people like Bob can be helpful, yell out. Because it's not easy. But what you can take from these lessons and the lessons of Casher and some of the stuff that Jerry's going to tell you is that you can take from it that it is possible to do because it has been done. Thank you.
You can see why I always like Maurice. The bottom line is Jeffersonian principles work when they're implemented. And that's the message I think we all need to take. Jerry Brito is also with Mercatus Center, and he's going to really discuss online tools that are available and the importance of not only having transparent efforts online, but how to make them accessible or structured data. He's a senior research fellow with the Regulatory Studies program at the Mercatus Center at George Mason. His research interests include regulation, telecommunications policy, and government transparency. He's also contributed to Tech Liberation Front, earned his JD from George Mason University School of Law and a BA in Political Science from Florida International University in Miami. He's the managing editor of the Federal Circuit Bar Journal. Thank you, Bob.
Well, now that Morris has thoroughly inspired you about what's possible in accountability with transparency, I get to talk to you about technical details and the internet and computers and utterly bore you, but please stay with me. What I want to talk to you today is about structured data. And it's something that in looking at the different bills that are out in the States to create budget transparency databases, and some that have already passed, and even the ALEC model, I see a lack of structured data. And so today I'm going to talk to you about what that means. So the first thing is that I find in my research is that publicly available data, right? That's data that, not new data that we'd like to see be made publicly available, but data that statutes already require to be made public, whether that is the voting record of the legislature, the budget. Because today you can't go down to the legislature and get a copy of the budget. Right? It's publicly available, but it's not publicly available online. So that's the first problem, and I commend all of you who have been working on this issue